hey, you, if you don't do this now, you might never ever do this, ever. If you don't do it now, you might never ever do it. That's what I told myself when I was 8 years old. Only 8 years old. Back in 1998, I was trying to tell myself, hey, you know what? One of these days, you're going to be a grown-up. How did I know that the world is not going to end in Y2K in only 7 years? I don't know, but I was really thinking about this because my mother was telling me to do some Kumon math or some kind of, mathematic homework since I was homeschooled back then. And I thought to myself, well, it doesn't really matter because she's going to go off and do errands. She's going to go and check the mail and do some other thing. She's going to be gone for like a half an hour or longer, so I could do anything I want. But then the little white angel on my other shoulder, she or he was like, oh man, no, it wasn't her, it wasn't somebody else. It was really me. And I thought to myself, or maybe it was the Holy Spirit, God himself. Unless if you don't believe in God, but I do. And so I say, hey, I told myself, and I was 8 years old, and I said, man, you're going to have to start doing things yourself and be more self-motivated to do things yourself. Because things are better that way. Life is better that way when you do things yourself. If you're able to drive yourself, to be inner-driven, inner-motivated, it's a whole lot better if other people doesn't have to do things for you or make you do things. Because life is all about living your dreams or working for the dreams of others. You really don't want to just be a slave, a servant. You really don't want to just help people build their dreams. It's good to help people build their dreams. No doubt about that, to help people. Charity, be a missionary, help other people when they need it, help your family and your friends and strangers. It's great. Help people and help them build their dreams. But at the same time, don't neglect your own dreams. But you gotta start somewhere. And that's what I started thinking about when I was 8 years old. And when I was 8 years old, I was really thinking about a lot of things. And I really believed in helping people. So I started drawing pictures of me with the girl that I really love. I fell in love with the girl when I was 5 years old. And she was like 3. Her name, Tiffany Russell Cumbo. She lived 7 houses from me. 7 is a lucky number. I love the number 7. She lived 7 houses from me. And when I was 8 years old in 1993, in Forest Grove, Oregon, where I was born and raised in the USA, I was drawing pictures of me and Tiffany getting married because I loved her. And so, that's what I was drawing. I'm an artist, so I have been drawing lots of pictures since I was about 3 years old and singing. And so when I was 8 years old, I wanted to marry her and have children, start a family. And then I was thinking about living in a mountain and then also donating my money to missionaries later on. And I was thinking about being the next Michael Jackson and being the next Michael Jordan and traveling the world as a missionary, telling people about Christ. I really want to help people. Since I was 8 years old, now I am 28 years old. It is 2014. It is the 5th of January, 2014. I'm going to turn 29 on the 11th of February, 2014. This in 1 month. So for the past 20 years, I've been really thinking about this. And so it all started in 93. When I was 8 years old. That was one of the biggest years of my life. And it happened after I went to California for the first time, I believe. I believe I went to California in 92 when I was 7 years old for the Christmas of 92. And I was able to go to Disneyland and spend time with the family. It was my father's side of the family. My father was able to see his real mother, maybe, but his father died when he was like 3 years old, and my father was adopted. Originally, my father was last name Rasp. My father's father was born in Holland, Amsterdam, Holland, the Netherlands, in Europe. So my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, was born like 1908 or so. His name, Peter Rasp. Peter Marinus Jr. Rasp, I believe. we don't know a lot about his side of the family, but we were able to go there because my mother was able to find information about it. Because first, my father didn't really know he was adopted. He was until he was about 16 years old, and then he started looking, but then he couldn't find anything about it. And then my mother started looking. She was a little smarter, maybe a higher IQ, and she was able to find information about him, that is about his family. And so we went there in '92, I believe, and then after that, it was 1993, and I started thinking about all these things. And I believe that my trip to California had something to do with helping me open up to this whole new world where I wasn't just thinking about myself. Because before that, I was just thinking about myself more. Not to say that I don't just think about myself now, because a lot of times people look at me and say to me, Joey Arnold, original oatmeal, you're just selfish. You just think about yourself. And you could say that, and I would say, okay, maybe, but not really. But I understand how you feel. And I've always been that way, where I just think about myself. But after I was 8 years old, I started thinking about myself less or differently, where I started thinking about how to help people. Not that I know how to help people, because I don't know all the answers, I don't have all the answers, but that's not the point. The point is about asking God for help and asking each other for help, because we need each other in order to be able to do these things to help people. And that's where it all starts. Whoa, do you hear that? I heard a beep beep sound. I was like, oh, is this the police? Are they going after me? I hope not. Sometimes I get kind of scared, yeah, it's scared out of my mind. When I was about 8 years old, I wanted to be the next Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, travel the world, help people as a missionary, get married with Tiffany Cumbo and have like 25 children or a lot. And then later on, I started thinking about living in a mountain and making movies like Steven Spielberg and being an actor. And also about not procrastinating on my work and doing my work, having integrity, having character, being self-motivated to do my homework even when my mother is not around. And starting to think about other people, to really help people. I started doing all these different things when I was about 8 years old. I also started playing basketball when I was about 8 years old. And I was able to draw a picture of the world when I was about 8 years old. I went to one of those state tests that they require if you're homeschooled. They want to make sure that you're learning something at home, so once a year or so you go and you take a test. And so it was like an all-day test, or at least, a few hours was like all day to me, like maybe 6 hours was just like all day to me, and a lot of work. But my mom gave me a lot of medicine, like pills, which helped me think. We're talking like vitamins and stuff. Nothing like cocaine, no cocaine. We're not talking drugs. And we're not talking about certain kinds of medicine. We're just talking about like vitamins and stuff. And that was able to help me. And I was able to draw a picture of the world for them. And when I drew the picture, one of the doctor teacher people with like a beard and glasses, and like he was like 40 years old, and he looked at it and he thought I was drawing like a video game. But then my mother had to show him and say, hey, this is the world. I guess I wasn't able to really tell him because I wasn't really much of a talker or something. Or maybe I didn't really know what he was saying. And I think I did know what he was saying, but I didn't tell him. But my mother was there and she was able to do it. So that's what mothers are for, But eventually they have to like kick you out of the tree, out of the nest. They have to push you out of the nest, and you have to learn how to fly by yourself. Because it's very important to learn how to fly by yourself, you know what I'm saying? Very important. And let me tell you what else happened in '93. I can't remember. I wrote it down somewhere about all the different things. I have a diary online, and I try to keep track of each year in my life. And I think '93 is very important. but I can't think of all the things that's happened. But I told you the most important things. I think I may have wanted to get baptized by my then pastor, Tom Harrison, or Tom Harris, who was our pastor, who was from like Europe, like Spain or something. And he was our pastor for a few years, and then he went back to be a pastor back in somewhere in Europe. But he baptized my younger sister, Crystal Ann Arnold, and she was like 4 years old or so, or about 4 years old, and I was like 8 or 9. And I was not able to explain to myself, or I was not able to explain to him why I wanted to be baptized. I was not able to say, well, because I want people to know that Christ died on the cross to take away my sins, and if I believe in that, I get that inheritance of heaven forever. That if I ask God to save me, if I ask Christ to take away my sins, He will. I was not able to tell the pastor those things. Those simple things. Like, you don't have to write a book about it and talk for a few hours about the whole Bible and about how it all works with salvation, sociology, theology, Christology, anthropology, psychology, sociology, anthropology, all these different things. You don't really have to explain it, because even my younger sister, who's 5 years younger than me, she was able to explain to the pastor, and she was able to get baptized. And then I was really sad, because I was like, man, I really don't know how to explain it, and the pastor thinks I don't know what it is to get saved. Just because I can explain it doesn't mean I don't know what it is, and doesn't mean I'm not ready. It just means I just have problems talking. I have trouble talking, but don't hold it against me. Don't hold it. Would you hold it against me? And so at that moment, when I was 8 years old, I was thinking to myself and saying to myself, I'm never going to get baptized. But then a few years later, about 5 years later, when I was 13, I ended up getting married. Getting baptized. I'm still single, for all you ladies out there. Oh, jeez. The moral of the story is, never give up. I also started eating oatmeal. Oh, man. I started making my own oatmeal as 8 years old. Playing basketball. I was in Awanas and also in Olympians. And, first I was going to Awanas. I was in the Sparkies Club. And I was going to the First Baptist Church in Hillsborough, which is like 2 cities over from my hometown city in Forest Grove. And we'd take the bus, or sometimes we'd get a ride in a van or a car from other people, neighbors, people that were going. And they would come and pick us up and take us there. And then sometimes we'd have to we should bring friends, and we'd get points for bringing friends. And you know that we all want points as children, or even when we get older, we want points, or lucky money or something. We want to win the lottery. We love games. We always do. And so we always want to be the best. You want more points. You get more points if you bring your friends. So I brought one of my friends from my church, the community Baptist church that I was not born, but raised going to on Sundays. And my friend, Brian Bishop. And then I invited him there to the Awana Club. And then he invited me to his club at his church out in the country at the Hillside Bible Church. And so I started going to the Word of Life Olympian clubs. And then after that, I was involved with the Awana clubs and Olympian clubs for 5 or 6 years. And then I was involved with the Word of Life youth group during my teenager years, middle school and high school. And then I went to the Bible Institute, the Word of Life Bible Institute, and I was a camp counselor with them for 3 years. Or maybe just 2. That's strange. What do you think about that? Only 2 years. Yeah, okay. I was also a counselor for 3 years with the Salvation Army. But it started with the Word of Life because I was going to Awana clubs, and then I invited a friend. And that friend invited me to the Word of Life clubs, and then I stayed with the Word of Life clubs, and then I went to their college, and then I started working at their camps. Then I started working at the Salvation Army camps. Then I was a missionary with Salvation Army in Hawaii for a year. And then I was living in the big city, and I was an after-school assistant at an elementary school and a dishwasher at the Kel's Irish restaurant, which is nice since I'm Irish, or Dutch, which I would say Irish and Dutch are similar. Close enough. And I was involved with Salvation Army ministries in Portland, Oregon, since I had my own apartment, which I got from my younger sister who had that room, and she moved out and I moved in. And then I was working at other Salvation Army camps. Then I was working for my dad. Then I came to Vietnam. Now I'm in Vietnam as an English teacher and just trying to do different things to help people. What I'm trying to tell you is that it all started when I was 8 years old. I told myself, man, I gotta do my homework. Even when my mother's not here, because if I don't, I never will. And I will stay on that couch as a couch potato for the rest of my life. And so it all started then. So one thing moved into another thing and turned into another thing, and that thing led to another thing and got me all the way here. Not exactly, I know a lot of things depend on other things, a lot of different factors must be considered, and I could have took different paths to get here and stuff like that. However, what I'm trying to say is that a lot of things matter. You know, a lot of things matter. A lot of things are important. You know, and you should think about that in your life with who you are and what you want to do. Never forget who you are. And never give up, never surrender, never back down. Thank you. I'm Joey Arnold. Original oatmeal. Eat your oatmeal and do your homework. Life is not a game. Do your homework. You have homework to do. Do your freaking homework before your homework does you. Bum bum bum. Brought to you by Original Oatmeal and viewers like you and Mia Omnia and the Fellowship Youth Group and Mia Omnia and Original Oatmeal. You already said Original Oatmeal. I just want to say it again. And Original Oatmeal. And that guitar. You see a guitar? And that guitar. And by the Power Rangers. What? Power Rangers? And by Star Wars. Okay, shut up now.